Congressman Waltz from the congressional district that is in our area joins us now live today on WNDB. Congressman, good morning. There is a new outreach by your office in doing on the positive effects of the PPP program. What can you tell us, sir?
Well, I'd invite businesses that have benefited from the Paycheck Protection Program to come to our website and tell those stories. I think in many ways, although there were some hiccups in getting the program running, it's been successful in many ways. 85% of the loans that have gone out have been for $150,000 or less, 60% for under $50,000. And I am hearing from business after business that they would no longer be there. They wouldn't exist, much less being able to keep the majority of their employees on their payroll without the program. And given the fact that we started it from scratch just a few months ago, we would love to capture those stories as we look to adjust the program and hopefully extend it. I'll remind everyone the current deadline for the current program is tomorrow, August 8th. So please, if you are trying to get that application in, get it in, and hopefully we can come to some compromise with the Democrats to get it extended and allow businesses another round.
Okay, that's very good. The subject of TikTok has been very out there. The China-owned app the president is talking about banning. We know that Microsoft is interested in buying them. To me, it doesn't do what the president wants if an American company buys it. I don't know if the security concern goes away even if an American company buys it. What's your take on this?
Well, in many ways, I think it would, Mark. Here's the problem. It's not the videos. I think the app is great. It's the data and where that data is going. And what everyone needs to understand is that you're a Chinese individual or company. You are required by Chinese law to hand over anything the Communist Party asks for. So we have this company collecting data across the board on over 100 million Americans, a lot of them teenagers, of course, but those are tomorrow's soldiers and sailors and Marines. Those are tomorrow's business leaders, CEOs, government leaders that they will have been collecting data on for many years. That is all going to Chinese servers that are accessible by the Chinese Communist Party. Imagine if the NSA or the FBI could have access across the board to all of the big tech companies by American law. We know that not to be the case. So if this were controlled by American privacy laws, by American legal procedures, I think we would be a lot more comfortable. But right now, that's not the case. There's also a company called WeChat that is caught up in doing the same thing as well. And I'm on the China task force. This is a huge problem. The Communist Party is collecting data on individuals all over the world. And they are applying their artificial intelligence, their algorithms, and others for their own ends that are not in line with our values, Mark.
Congressman, pivoting to another issue, it's not as important as these, but still there's some significance. I understand fully the president wanting to minimize his exposure and also control costs for his campaign. But the subject of announcing his acceptance of the nomination from the White House has caused some questions. I've been looking at the Hatch Act. I think if he declares his acceptance from the residents, he doesn't violate the Hatch Act, because I know the whole idea was to not have the president trying to raise money out of the White House, the office, the Oval Office. But if he does it from the residents, isn't he okay?
So the Hatch Act, which prohibits federal employees from using federal property for political activity, he's exempt from it. I think you're absolutely right, Mark. And I know a number of the White House lawyers are looking at that, the residence versus the Oval Office. But overall, my understanding is he's exempt. It does do those things that you said. It saves in terms of costs. But I also understand, particularly with the president, that the acceptance plans still aren't set in stone. So we'll see what he comes up with.
The jobless numbers dropping a bit in Florida, and I take that as a good sign. I think 20% week to week. What does this say to you about the overall economy as well? We're in better shape than some other states, but what do you say about this?
Well, I think we have a few things coming together. We have the end of the Paycheck Protection Program, unless we can get it extended, which we are trying to do. The Democrats have rejected, at least right now. We have that coming, and it'll be, how many of those companies can keep people on payroll. And at the same time, we have a confluence of other things like the eviction and this uninsurance benefit or unemployment benefit that the federal government is putting on top of states. So we have a confluence of a lot of things. Look, I think we're somewhere between a long, painful recovery and the V shape that the president is asking for. I think it's going to be somewhere in between. The stock market has stayed fairly steady, and I think we're going to come out of this. Particularly at the end of the day, we just don't have a choice to continue to shut everything down. We have to steadily climb out of this, and I think we can do it.
Finally, a quick thought from you about the NRA. The Attorney General of New York now suing to put the squeeze on the NRA in New York. The president responded by saying, you know what, this is a terrible thing. I hope they move to Texas where they can live a long and happy life. Is that the answer? Get out of New York, which is not business friendly anyway?
Well, we can't have liberal attorney generals politicizing their office. The current attorney general in New York ran on going after the NRA and going after Second Amendment rights. And we can't have them using one. If there's some financial issues at the NRA that are legitimate to look into, I mean, Ollie North raised those. That's one thing. But we can't have them using that as an excuse to go after people's rightful, lawful, constitutional Second Amendment rights. And I think that's really unfortunate what she's doing.
Congressman Mike Waltz, I know it's been a rough week and you're still hitting it, so I got to give you credit. It has been a rough week for members of Congress like yourself. Get some rest over the weekend, and thank you for this briefing today, as always, on WNDB.